Live from our Boston headquarters, this is Cybba on Display. In-depth conversations on marketing tips, trends, and strategies. Here's your host, Derek Sullivan.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Cybba on Display. Joining me today is Beau Schmitt. Beau is one of the co-founders of one of our favorite CBD brands here at Cybba, Scaries. As the co-founder of a successful CBD startup, you could say that Beau wears many hats. You know, kind of before we dive into anything here, I'd love if you could give our listeners some background on, what your day-to-day kind of consists of and what your roles are at the company.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a book called Traction, or there's books called Traction and Rocket Fuel, and it kind of talks about the difference between founder personalities. And so if you kind of break it into what's called the integrator or the visionary, my co-founder, Mike, is definitely the integrator, more systematic, operationally driven, and very focused on execution, hitting deadlines. My role as visionary, quote unquote, is I'm more on the growth side and campaigns and kind of big ideas. So I'm focused on penetrating new markets, whether that's through campaign channels or target demographics, and then finding creative ways to get our messaging out there, which is always challenging in the CBD world. And then Mike, my co-founder, and I, we work really well together because he is like a filter for my ideas, and he puts it into an executable plan and then disseminates that through our team.
So essentially you're the big ideas guy, and Mike, sort of acts as a filter? Yeah,
I mean, if you had to box it up, that's what it would look like. But certainly, Mike has had a hand in some of the largest ideas that we've had. But how we work together is definitely more visionary integrator. And that's kind of our defined role. He would be defined certainly as the CEO because of holding the operational integrity of the company, and I would be classified as a CGO, focused on growth and new opportunities.
So this isn't the first time you guys have worked together, right? Like, I know that.
Yeah, it's not.
Have you had a lot of ventures together?
This is just the second. So we actually used to own a full bar and restaurant together. At one time we had 50 employees. And originally I launched the restaurant with a different partner. We brought Mike in as the general manager, but quickly he turned into almost an equal partner with me, as the other partner kind of fizzled out in all aspects of ownership. Because like in Scaries, I had ideas, but Mike was the one that, ran the promotions through the operational and execution phases through our whole staff. So that's why we really, owning an operated restaurant is close to the 9th level of hell of certain things you have to deal with. And I don't know how friendly you can get, but we always used to say every day is a Monday and every day is Dick Kick Monday, because you're constantly fighting an uphill battle for getting customers into the establishment, making sure that one of 1,000 small fires is put out, and trying to operate profitably.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I used to, so I worked in restaurants most of my life, everything from dishwashing to bartending. So, I totally understand how chaotic and uncertain it can get. It can be, it can get really messy sometimes. So I can't even imagine. When did you guys launch that restaurant?
So that was in 2015. And, we did have a lot of fun with it, but it's not like public perception where it's Mike and I as, we were single 25-year-olds or 20, I don't even remember how old we were. 2015, yeah, I would have been 29 years old. And we were, both single, and everyone assumed that we were meeting women the whole time and partying. But really what it was is, a 17-hour grind day of everything, starting in the morning of, analyzing menus, printing new menus, to the end of the night of helping the dishwasher mop and clean the bathrooms so everything's ready to go the next day.
Right. So you guys are just, grinding it out day after day, 100 hours a week, considering how stressful running a restaurant is, did you use CBD at all as a consumer beforehand? Like, did you, find, I guess, some stress relieving benefits to using it while working at a restaurant?
Yeah, absolutely. We were super stressed out, like anxious beyond belief. And we went golfing with our friend Garrett, and he gave us some CBD for the first time. This is early 2017. And Mike and I have both experienced some pretty tough personal losses. Like I lost my dad in 2016 in a freak accident. And so, between like family anxiety and then dealing with running a full service restaurant night and day, we were looking for something to take the edge off, and CBD just like clicked with us. We both fell in love with it. It didn't stimulate us. It calmed us down. We were able to kind of calm the noise in our brains so we could focus on the things that were actually moving the needle. And then, it kind of just started as like a side project. It wasn't like the CBD industry today. CBD wasn't newsworthy. It wasn't in the media. There weren't press releases around it. And the companies in the industry were really focused on the boomer generation, talking to them, their pain points about pain and inflammation. And we saw a big opportunity of bridging that gap between CBD and the millennial generation, because the millennial generation is very uniquely plagued with a lot of over-the-counter anxiety issues related to the finances and student loans, social media and technology, relationships and sex with online dating and dating apps. And so we saw a really big opportunity there to help the larger public.
So at what point did you call it quits, with the restaurant, take a step back and consider CBD as a, potential business venture?
Well, we operated the restaurant until the beginning of 2019, until it just wasn't financially viable, and we'd done everything, including sinking our own savings into it. The neighborhood we were a part of was falling apart. All the restaurants around us shut down. We were kind of an island in the sun. And so that was a really tough decision. And we ended up selling the business license and the alcohol license at the end of 2019. And, when we decided to shutter the doors, that was really a difficult decision. And we did have Sunday Scaries, running. Our first fiscal year was 2018. But the immediate impact from a top level perspective is when you start to really learn the intricacies of different business models, a brick and mortar business, when we're looking at the restaurant, there's a very definitive revenue ceiling. You can only make X amount of dollars. And that's defined by the hours that you're open, the number of seats, butts and seats, and your average order value. And you really can't expand beyond that. And your primary target market is, within 3 to 5 miles of that establishment. And comparatively, when we started Sunday Scaries, we had a really good product that was vitamin enriched and unique, a cool name, Sunday Scaries, that was, relevant on a weekly basis. But for an online business, you can sell 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nationwide. So the business model for the online business blended with our, thick kind of like alligator skin of getting our ass handed to us in the hospitality industry just blended really well. We were able to grow a lot faster online because there is no revenue ceiling.
Was the transition easy? Like, I would imagine it'd be less of a headache without having, the brick and mortar, employee payrolls, et cetera.
Certainly. Yeah. There's, in addition to the kind of the top level business model of revenue ceilings, like you said, you don't need the overhead of human capital, which, we started the bar in 2015. We're in California. Minimum wage had increased, I think, 3 or 4 times in the first year because of new stipulations. And we were just getting crushed on overhead. Not to mention that California was then one of 7 states without a tip wage credit. So we were just getting hammered on overhead. And so the appeal of this new business was also, the problems that you deal with in the restaurant industry are alcohol and drug related, whether that's alcohol and drugs affecting your staff or the customers that come in. Certainly people come in on drugs. And so your relation with the customer is you are serving food, which, nourishes them, but you're serving alcohol, which is inherently toxic, right?
Right.
versus CBD, the response we got from customers was, we're helping people. And that was the whole purpose versus operating an amazing, sports bar. And so, that kind of switch in mentality with the scalability, the lower overhead, obviously Sunday Scaries was just like a shining light for us.
Right. So was there much of a learning curve? I mean, you're, going from an in-person hospitality business with set hours to being completely online, something that's open 24 hours a day, unlimited reach. Was it easy for you to navigate?
Yeah. Top level, yes. Back then too, Facebook didn't have policies against CBD. Right now, you can't advertise CBD ingestibles on Facebook. You can do topicals if you're clever and follow their guidelines. But Facebook, Instagram was the most scalable platform. So when we launched our first CBD gummies on Facebook, there were no constraints, and we scaled super fast in early 2018. And that's also about we think we got about a 12 to 18 month head start on the whole CBD explosion when everyone, their mother, their dog walker, and their neighbor has a CBD company. And then also everyone has policies. Most big platforms have policies against CBD or regulating CBD. So scaling is much harder. But coming into the online world, I had experience with online. I owned a small online business before we opened the bar. But we're dealing with, in a bar, you deal with hundreds of vendors, meat providers, vegetable providers, fruit providers, everything else, frozen food providers. And then we specialize in beer. So we had over 100 different breweries that we bought beer from that can all be considered a manufacturer, talking to them about their beers. Or, we have a lot of local spirits as well, because San Diego is the mecca for that. So comparing that to one manufacturer that makes one product that we launched with, the management of the supply chain was so much easier as well. Different, but easier because we're only focused on one primary supplier. Obviously, we have a supplier for bottles and caps and all the ancillary items, but it was a lot easier to manage. And that's why we were able to start as a side project and scale it quickly, because in the beginning, it didn't take substantial time. It just took efficiency.
So what was early Sunday Scaries like? I would imagine it probably looks like a completely different brand compared to what you have now.
To be honest, like the brand messaging hasn't really changed. It has matured and been cleaned up. So we have, consistent fonts and colors and messaging across all platforms. And we're still continuing to tweak that and improve that. But Sunday Scaries, as the name and the attitude of the company, hasn't really changed, because the whole premise of Sunday Scaries is we're focused around the lingering problem of anxiety and stress. And unlike other CBD companies that focus kind of on the broad, like the whole spectrum of use cases like inflammation, pain, anxiety, sleep, we really focus on anxiety and then ancillary issues related to anxiety. And that's really been from the start, because Sunday Scaries in itself is like Sunday anxiety. It's the anxiety that you feel between your fun weekend life and your professional work life, or getting back to the gym, which we kind of venture to guess that 100% of people experience on a weekly basis at some point. But that messaging has always actually remained pretty consistent.
Yeah, that's true, especially considering that your target is millennials. We're seeing this trend where it's becoming more common to talk about mental health, stress, anxiety. When you first started off, do you remember maybe a particular customer that gave you some sort of testimonial or feedback about how your product helped them with their anxiety?
Yeah, and absolutely. It was a woman who was married to an Army vet. He had PTSD, and she had just high daily anxiety disorder. And I'm not sure if she was diagnosed, but that was her kind of self-diagnosis. And we still have it in our testimonial folder in one of our G drives that I read on a monthly basis, or I read through testimonials on a monthly basis for that kind of re-inspiration. And she sent us about 3 paragraphs long of what she was going through, what her husband went through, and how Sunday Scaries has helped. And it was just, we'd never seen a response like that. People would write some good reviews about our food at the bar, but it wasn't like this, like helped really change my life and improve my well-being. We had never seen anything like that with our old business. So that was really heartwarming. And it's, one of those, we have thousands of them. One of those is enough fuel, for inspiration for weeks at a time.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's so special when you feel like you've made a difference in someone's life. I bet that's, that in itself is serious motivation to keep your venture alive. With how saturated the market's become, do you have any tips for some newer CBD brands to help cut through the noise and, kind of stay relevant?
Yeah, I mean, with any market that matures, kind of goes through the evolution from ingredient-based marketing to brand-based marketing. And in the beginning, people were buying Sunday Scaries a lot just because it had CBD in it, and there weren't other CBD companies, or certainly not as many CBD companies marketed online or at retail locations that were brick and mortar. So we had 10 milligrams broad spectrum CBD with a blend of vitamins B12 and D3, and then a base of coconut oil. And that was really exciting, just the CBD part, because the market wasn't saturated. As any market, as it's maturing, the brand becomes even more important. So focusing on the brand and your mission, the why, not the what, as Simon Sinek would put it in every TED Talk. People don't believe, people believe why you're doing something, not what you're selling. And so that's, we've always been mission driven, but what I would say is make sure you're carving out a defendable customer niche that relates to your brand. And that's why we launched the name Sunday Scaries and not CBD plus CBD, CBD RX, RX CBD, any derivation of CBD or cannabis, like a lot of companies, because the brand needs to be sticky itself, right? Like there's a reason in a saturated market of vodka, Tito's stands out, or a saturated market of shoes, Tom's stands out, or deodorant Native stands out, because they develop the brand with a customer base that is super definable and defendable against other brands. And that happens within the CBD industry too. With our competitors, we can certainly define what target markets they are defending right now.
Yeah, it really comes down to your message. That's what people want to buy.
Yeah, and you start to move away from price sensitivity and more to brand trust and assimilation.
Right. So I know Sunday Scaries takes a lot of care in product sourcing. And I think, honestly, that's what helps you stay above the competition. How do you go about sourcing the best hemp for your products?
Yeah, so, right off the bat, you want to make sure that the CBD is sourced in the United States. And it's been estimated numerous times that over 70% of the CBD sold in the United States is from hemp derived from China, which is a major issue, because in China they use hemp to plant in between crop cycles, because hemp naturally absorbs heavy metals and chemicals and pesticides that are in the soil. So if you're, versus in the United States, hemp is grown as a commodity for itself to be extracted, so this CBD can be extracted from that under USDA regulations. So you always want to source the hemp from the United States. We've taken it very seriously. We've flown out to Denver, the farms right outside Denver. They're family-owned farms. They grow our hemp stocks. We are partners with K&D Labs. They produce some of the best isolate, distillate in the industry. And now they're working with some of the largest flavoring manufacturers because of their business acumen and all their certifications. And so we get we know where all of our hemp comes from, and we know where all of our raw product CBD comes from. And then that is shipped directly to our manufacturers, where they custom formulate our products, package everything, and then we actually fulfill all shipments in-house. So we have a small, mighty team, because we do a lot of experiential inserts. So we do all fulfillment in-house to make sure the accuracy is there.
Wow. So how large exactly is your in-house team?
Soon to be 6 people, not including Mike and I. We do have a lot of agency partners. So whereas a Medterra or a Charlotte's Web that might have 1 to 200 or plus, 1 to 200, 300 employees, where they have internal teams running, different parts of their paid media and marketing channels. Excuse me. Ours is, we typically use agencies that specialize in those channels.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So then at what point, I guess, in the company history did you start to outsource some of those marketing efforts?
We kind of made the move to outsourcing once Google, Facebook, Amazon, and a handful of other platforms really had strong anti-CBD, not anti-CBD, but CBD regulatory frameworks put in place. When we had someone on our team that was running Facebook ads, but it wasn't difficult to run CBD ads on Facebook. But now with everything from government, FDA to legislative landscape changing all the time, we found that it's better to have an agency that focuses on that, where a team is completely in tune with all policy changes. They also have, not just for Facebook, but for Google, Amazon, other display networks, programmatic. They're just more in tune with changes that a single person wouldn't be able to keep up with, just wouldn't have the bandwidth to keep up with.
Gotcha. So one thing I noticed is your social presence. I love your Instagram. I mean, you guys have great content. Right now, at least, last time I checked, you're around 160,000 followers, which, as we all know and struggle with, is no easy feat. I guess I'd love to know, the secret sauce, I guess, right? Like, did you outsource your content? I mean, how exactly did you grow from 0 followers to that many in just 3 years?
Yeah, so, we recently brought on, her name is Haley, she's our new content director, and revamped all of our social media. So if you go back a few months, you can really see the transformation. And so, like you said before, like you asked before, where Sunday Scaries itself hasn't really changed, but we're continually to mature the brand. If you go back a couple months, Mike and I were still running partially our social media. And I was, putting together posts, which was highly inefficient until we got our content director, and she is just a phenomenal manager of all of our social media platforms. So really kudos to her. As far as the followers, that's a blend of organic growth when CBD was just starting to get hot back in 2018. Plus, we did a lot of joint venture work, so cross promotions with other companies that had similar amount of followers. So, we would do giveaways and partnerships with a beauty brand that had 60,000 followers when we had 60,000 followers. And part of that was you had to go follow the other like-minded brands. And it's become a lot harder today. And then, we would gain a few thousand followers and just continue to scale like that.
Yeah, you see that a lot, actually, and even like those collabs are becoming more saturated. You got gifting, joint brand giveaways, etc. Do you see influencer as a strong channel for CBD?
Yeah, that's how we were really grown. So Mike and I, being, owning a sports bar restaurant for like 3 years, we knew most of the bar owners, the management companies, servers, bartenders, bottle service girls, everyone in the hospitality realm in San Diego. San Diego is a pretty small community. And so we really, and they all have profiles. And so we really approached the industry to start out not by doing like big sponsored posts with like, Well and Good or Mind Body Green, but with influencers in the hospitality industry, because when you're stressed out, who you talk to the most? You talk to your server, your bartender, or the bar manager that you go in and see every time. Like, these people are, listing boards for people dealing with anxiety and stress on a daily basis. So the hospitality industry in San Diego was kind of our first sounding board for the influencer community. And then we expanded out from that, going after big, metro areas like Chicago, LA, New York that were definitely more progressive and forward thinking in the CBD spaces.
Sure.
As far as return on ad spend, influencers a year ago would drive high converting sales. Right now, we look at it more of brand awareness and new market penetration, where micro influencers with under 50,000 followers with much higher engagement rates and a more trusting following. Those are like the bread and butter because they're real. They typically are more accessible. They open up about their anxiety issues, and then of course they have to be brand centric to us. We're not going to partner with anyone who makes racist or sexist comments, and we do our research. But focusing on really authentic micro influencers in unique markets has worked well for us.
Yeah, those micro influencers, they seem to be the sweet spot. They're big enough to have substantial reach, but small enough to have real intimate engagement with their followers. And in turn, they can be a proper brand ambassador, rather than work with like a big celebrity name like a Kardashian, which could be a waste of marketing spend.
I certainly wouldn't say it's a waste of money. As we grow, like a Kardashian collaboration could certainly be in the cards. Personally though, like our brand is very much, if we had to define it by celebrities, it's very much Ryan Reynolds, it's Katy Perry, it's Chrissy Teigen, it's Zayn, people that have opened up about anxiety in the past and are a little bit more raw and authentic and humorous on social media.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought of it like that. It's a trending topic, like we mentioned before, mental health, anxiety, and celebrities are definitely advocates for spreading that awareness. So it seems like it would align perfectly with CBD.
Yeah, and the landscape has certainly changed as well. Like you have to put an hashtag ad if you're sponsoring a post for new FTC guidelines. Like that wasn't around a year ago. In 2 years ago, it was certainly in its infancy, where there weren't as many brands promoting through influencers.
Yeah. So do you think those rules and regulations, like hashtag ad, do those hurt or delegitimize the influencer campaign?
Yeah, because you can tell it's not an authentic campaign. And we do seed a lot of influencers with products. And so a lot of it isn't paid. It's just, this person is a person of influence. They have 11,000 followers. They have a good engagement rate. They're honest. They have a clean history of posts. They have a unique, maybe they talk about keto food, but they're focused on health and wellness. And we'll just seed them product because we've had a conversation with them. They've opened up about, they do deal with everyday anxiety or stress, and they're willing to talk about it in exchange for product. So it isn't just paying cash for cash. There's other ways to structure it. Product per post, commission based on CPAs, so paying them a flat fee per transaction they drive, or a rev share, or a flat fee post, or hybrids. So there's a lot of different ways that companies are structuring those partnerships.
So is there a social or marketing channel that just doesn't pair well with CBD? Besides, I would imagine the obvious, like LinkedIn. Is there anything else that you should just kind of stay away from?
So LinkedIn is very B2B. So if you actually we don't focus on wholesale. We do 99% online. So if you're selling to wholesale accounts, whether it's larger corporate clients like 10 gyms or small yoga studios, LinkedIn could be advantageous. I really like Twitter, or I'm really intrigued by Twitter, but it is also a very difficult platform to launch scalable CBD campaigns on. TikTok, we have a TikTok channel. TikTok is a whole new animal. And to be honest, we've been in contact with about 10 different agencies we're evaluating TikTok as a platform, and not even digital agencies really have a handle on TikTok yet.
Yeah, it's so new, it's really hard to say. I mean, I've heard people say that, TikTok could be bigger than Instagram.
I really am hesitant to say, though, that it could drive the same business-related success that Facebook and Instagram have driven. Because the value of Facebook and Instagram is really the data aggregator and the targeting capabilities and the reporting systems that they have in Business Manager, which TikTok would spend years trying to develop and mature like Facebook did, right? So I'm really not sure, but it's certainly yet to be seen because the younger generations are hopping on with Snapchat and TikTok versus Facebook, especially. Instagram obviously still better, in my opinion, for millennial acquisition than Facebook. But as far as TikTok and Snapchat, it's still yet to be seen.
Right. Okay. So you're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook are huge for you.
Yeah. Facebook, Instagram are synonymous with paid. But as far as like brand awareness, it's certainly Instagram on the social presence.
Right. Yeah. So I guess beyond, the big three, is there a social channel, maybe some other brands might not think about utilizing that can really bring success? I have seen some brands really get a lot of growth through Pinterest. I've seen some with success on Reddit.
Yeah, we're investing a lot more time into Pinterest. I think that is an amazing channel that's underserved. As far as, what was the other one that you mentioned?
Reddit.
Reddit is, I actually started a Sunday Scaries Reddit account 3 months ago, or that's probably 6 months ago, right in the middle of when we were literally locked down. And it's very, because it's like the front page, they call it the front page of the internet. I still don't really get it. And I'm not sure that it's a scalable acquisition channel for CBD companies or companies in general. Because the beautiful thing about Reddit is it's like self-regulating. And the last thing that Reddit users want is promotions and ads like coming through. So you'd have to be very, very niche oriented, I think, to go after Reddit.
Yeah. I mean, it still kind of has that deep web feel to it. I actually, I've seen some smaller brands, and with great success too, I should add, who go on acting like real users to advocate for, the brand's products, and almost like a mole or like a fake influencer, and people buy it. They think like this is a real person on Reddit talking about this brand or talking about these products, or, oh, you gotta check this out, and it works. It kind of creates like a snowball effect as an influencer would.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did that back in 2018. And then we got like 100 comments, like, obviously this is a brand post, and got shelled a little bit. But that's, that's part of the learning phase and naivety. So.
Right. All right. So shifting gears really quick, it's the holiday season. We're in the thick of it. Do you have any tips for brands to stand out amongst the competition without promotion or discount overkill?
Yeah. I think the easiest way to lower the barrier to entry for someone trying your products is humor. So sitting down, figuring out something that's hyper creative, weird, that's going to appeal to a small audience, like a Karen campaign, like don't be a Karen, right? We've dabbled with, where you kind of introduce your brand through a very approachable method of comedy. It's unfortunate, but it's part of the process that you're gonna, with Black Friday and the holidays, you're gonna want to do some, deep discounting of 30 to 40% to compete, because it's just the nature of Black Friday and Cyber Monday, right? And Travel Tuesday, and you want to have defined campaigns for each of those. But we've always seen a lot of success with humor-based ads that are just a little bit edgy and outside the box. Like we do holiday scaries. So it'll be CBD infused gumdrops, and we'll do a whole campaign around the stress of seeing your in-laws. Like, holy shit, you're going to spend an entire week on the couch at your aunt's house with every kid running around. These are going to be the things that just help make that trip a little bit easier and stress-free, right?
Smart.
And so we focus on the nuances that, because our brand has always been focused on kind of over-the-counter anxiety issues and stress issues, of focusing on the things that really trigger stress around the holidays. Traveling in busy airports, which obviously with COVID is going to throw a whole, and the election is going to throw a whole twist on what the definition of stress really is around the holidays. Certainly financially, there's a lot of financial stress going on right now with people losing their jobs and being out of work. But we're going to speak more to like the over-the-counter daily anxiety issues that you just want to get over during the holidays.
Right. So as a brand, you really just shouldn't be afraid to take those risks.
Yeah. And then but what you don't want to do is ever try to capitalize on COVID. No brand messaging, no immunity, no nothing around COVID. It's a sensitive subject and it shouldn't be incorporated into marketing. Talking about 2020 in general, totally fine. But we don't think it's good business practice to try to capitalize on COVID and the virus. And there's plenty of other things to approach and certainly other things that you can focus on with giving back to. So like we're focusing on our Strawberries, CBD strawberry gummy bears. They're called Strawberries because we kick back dollars from every bottle sold to the Pink Agenda, which does cancer research, so that more fathers, sons, daughters, mothers can spend time with their loved ones and that are affected by breast cancer. So we're starting to see a large push into mission driven, which is great because we're seeing kind of like the capitalist structure kicking back and helping the philanthropic structure, which needs a lot of help right now with funding. So
yeah, absolutely. So I know that you are passionate about your products. It's very clear here, and you talk about Sunday Scaries. I'd love to know if there is a product that you guys put out that you were really excited about. You put a lot on the line for, and it just completely flopped. And in turn, is there a product that you didn't think would have great success, but then completely surprised you and really took off?
Yeah. I honestly, the Strawberries are my favorite right now. So we have very few product SKUs, and we try to specialize in those, mostly gummies, and really make them the best and the most effective we can. Our business model is certainly more like an In-N-Out with a few high quality products rather than a McDonald's with a ton of products under one brand. And that's why you also notice that all of our products are independently branded. So besides like our flagship Sunday Scaries gummies and oil, like it's unicorn jerky, which are rainbow candy strips to support LGBTQ youth, right? And then we have pink Strawberries that are strawberry bears to support breast cancer. But our best seller by far is our flagship gummies with vitamins D3, B12, and coconut oil. But my favorite right now is the Strawberries, and they are the most delicious CBD gummies I've ever had. Strawberry gummy bears with vitamin C and broad spectrum CBD. And I've been eating them so fast. The product that bombed was the YOLO shots. So we tried to move into an energy drink. It was one of the first CBD energy drinks. It is phenomenal, 50 milligrams of CBD, 5-HTP, guarana, organic green coffee, beans that we derive caffeine from, and they have about 200 milligrams of caffeine in each shot. And they were called YOLO shots, right? So our dog bones are called FOMO bones, right? Fear of missing out, for separation anxiety for dogs, are, vegan AF, vegan as fuck, or if I can say that. Sour drops are for vegan. There's no animal products in them for vegans. Unicorn jerky for LGBTQ youth and supporting the Trevor Project. And YOLO shots is you only live once, right? It's an energy shot that you take in the morning if you're hungover, at night if you want to stay up late. amazing branding, 3 flavors, comes in a 12-pack box, and just didn't sell. I still take them, and we discontinued them, and we'll be giving a lot of presence to our monthly subscribers, which is what we focus on because it's better to take CBD consistently over time. And so we have we'll be giving a lot of presence to our monthly subscribers with Yellow Shots because they're phenomenal, but they just didn't sell online. It was more of a retail-based product.
And why do you think that is? I mean, it sounds like like the perfect product for like my generation.
Yeah. And that's why we launched it, and it was fun, and we had a lot of press in the bev industry last year, ranked it the best new beverage product in the US for July, and got a ton of press behind it. We did You Only Live Once, like promos where we flew to New York and took editors out skydiving, pushed them out of planes for the YOLO launch, did some fun stuff like out in the Hamptons. And it was like this huge launch, and sales never picked up. Everyone who takes Yellow Shots is very obsessed with them, but as a product on our website and our features, it just wasn't what people wanted. And it was a learning, it was definitely a learning curve for us. We bought a lot of Yellow Shots. Moving from gummies in production to a energy shot that's liquid based is completely different manufacturing, research, testing. So it was a big learning process that just didn't work out, even though the product was great. So.
All right, Beau. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for today. Before we go our separate ways, is there any shout outs you want to give? Any products you want to talk about specifically? Any shameless plugs you have? Now's the time.
We're coming out with the sleep gummy in the next couple months. That's super exciting. And it's, we're in San Diego. So the culture down here is very influenced by Mexican culture, which we love, from food, entertainment, music, the festivals that happen in San Diego. So we have a Mexican inspired chamoy sleep gummy that's coming out. That'll be the first ever chamoy based gummy in the CBD industry. So really excited about that. We've been working on it for over a year, and we're dialing in the final specifications now. But other than that, we're always accessible. If you have any questions, we're always transparent and willing to help other companies out. So feel free to reach out to us.
Hey, it was a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Have an amazing, amazing week.
For more episodes, including our webinar replays, be sure to subscribe to our Spotify and Apple Music pages. Thanks.